Hey, you, welcome back to Uncensored. As you know, I am Marianne from Yachts Mermaids, your host. And today I have Vaughan, who is the project manager and director of ISWAN, which is International Seafarers Welfare Assistance Network. Welcome, Caitlin.
Thank you. Thanks for having me.
Yeah, it's a pleasure actually. So as you guys know, I am super into crew, seafarers' rights and helping them and self-care and all this that needs to change in the industry. You know, like we just don't have enough outlets for the amount of and support, right? For the amount of cases and things that we are living, the reality of living as a seafarer on board, you know? So, Caitlin, I just want you to talk a little bit about your background and what your mission and vision is. So, sorry, let me just like retract myself a little bit. So, for you guys that don't know, ISWAN is a support network for seafarers, and they have a Seafarer Helpline. And a few months ago, I saw that this network is actually putting together a helpline for yachties, which I thought it was really interesting because I mean, yachties are seafarers. So I just kind of wonder, like, why is there a new branch just for yachties, right? So can you talk a little bit about what ISWAN does, what Seafarers Helpline does, and how the new helpline for yachties actually was birthed?
Sure. Yeah, so thanks again for having me. We're a charity, like you say, that promotes seafarers' welfare, and our main program is Seafarer Help, which is a 24-hour multilingual helpline for seafarers, which has been operating for sort of well over 20 years before it merged to become ISWAN. And we help seafarers and their family members all around the world with a large number of issues, but we have particular focus, particularly recently, on mental health, and so we've provided the charity provides a number of resources, but the helpline is there sort of for any reason. So a seafarer might call it because they have a very practical issue that they want help with. And we might be able to find that help for them in-house, or we might be able to refer them somewhere else that can find that help. But what we will always do as well is provide them with the emotional support they might need, because that issue might be causing them stress or any other issues. Or they might just call us because they want someone to talk to because life at sea has got too much, or a family member at home is worried about their relative that's working at sea. But we've primarily focused on the commercial sector, or we've really been concerned with welfare issues, particularly affecting seafarers on commercial vessels. We have also assisted a number of seafarers working on cruise ships. And over the years, we have received calls from super yacht crew, and we have helped them. But it's not an area we'd focused on specifically, and started to become aware that our resources weren't really necessarily applicable to super yacht crew. In lots of ways they were relevant, but they weren't quite right. You know, the focus of them, the imagery, the language probably didn't talk to super yacht crew and didn't engage them as we want for a group of people that we support. And like you say, super yacht crew are very much seafarers, but in our experience, not all yachties are even aware of that, because the industry is so different to, you know, the commercial sector. We so we were approached by one of our members, MHG insurance brokers, and they said, you know, the super yacht sector has lots of very specific, particular issues that, you know, you might want to learn more about. And, you know, as we became more aware of the things they were telling us, we knew that, you know, we should do more to make sure our support services does cater for super yacht crew. So we set about and did some research in 2018, mostly a survey of super yacht crew, but also some interviews of other stakeholders in the industry. looking at the kind of main welfare issues within the industry and what crew felt they needed. And about 13 recommendations came from the report. Some of them not so much ISWAN's realm or domain really to help with, although we'll certainly do what we can. But there were a number of recommendations that really centred around either directly or indirectly to mental health support, and either the fact that limited resources exist for crew, but also that access to any support, whether it does exist or not, is difficult, and awareness of the support, the sort of small amounts of support that exists, is really low anyway. So looking at all of those types of issues, and then kind of the indirect stuff I mentioned, like leadership on board and crew conflict, those sort of things that feed into, you know, how we're feeling at work, and particularly if our workplace is our home. We thought that the best thing to do in the first instance was just to make sure we did much better promotion and awareness raising of our Seafarer Helpline, because it's very much there for super yacht crew. We want to encourage them to use it. But through our experience talking to stakeholders and trying to promote the helpline to yachties, it just became clear that our branding, our everything just didn't speak to them. You know, I would be telling crew that we were there for them 24 hours a day, and they still didn't really seem confident that we would be able to help with their, you know, their issues in their industry. And it's understandable, because, you know, it's so difficult to reach out for help when you're struggling, and it's even more difficult if you feel like there's not going to be anyone that understands the environment you're working in, or the reasons why you might be struggling, or just, you know, your particular situation. So we thought it was important to make sure we address those issues, and we thought the best way to do that was to provide this specific support for super yacht crew. That means that we don't just put the odd section on our website. It's a, you know, it's an online toolkit that's fully dedicated to super yacht crew, and it means that, you know, the helpline is specifically there for them 24 hours a day. You know, we're calling it Yacht Crew Help. So we have Seafarer Help and we have Yacht Crew Help, and yacht crews, professional yacht crew, and anyone else that falls in between is welcome to use either helpline. But we think we're more likely to reach more super yacht crew when we've got an appropriately branded helpline, appropriately named, and so that we can set about addressing the main issues on that website with useful resources. They don't have to go looking around a website that has, you know, 10 different audiences. This one is specifically for them. In the first instance, you know, we're hoping to go live in a few weeks. In the first instance, it's going to be fairly basic. It's going to have all of the helpline details there. It'll be live chat, phone, email, other ways of getting in contact, and then mental health resources and other kind of important information. But over time, you know, as we get more contacts through the helpline and we see kind of the particular issues coming through, then we aim to add more and more useful information onto the website. So I think in the beginning we'll have all of the essential bases covered, but over time I see this as a really essential website, a central hub where we can make sure that the main issues affecting crew are always addressed on there, and that, you know, we're keeping up to date with the most relevant, useful information for them.
Thank you so much. I mean, this is a big step into the right direction, and I love the fact that, you know, you did mention that a lot of yachties don't understand the fact that they are seafarers themselves, period. Beyond being a yachtie, you are a seafarer. And I think this is where the lack of understanding of crew rights, which means seafarer rights, comes through. The lack of understanding what help is actually available to them is because they somehow divided themselves from, I am not a commercial crew member, therefore I'm not a seafarer, I'm just a yachtie. It's like, well, I mean, yes, but that means and translates to being a seafarer. So I and I've been myself, like I've been 14 years as a crew member on yachts, and I must say, like I've been as ignorant as many, you know, and it took me a little while to understand that, to be like, wait, I am a seafarer. Like, there's no difference between a cruise ship crew member, a commercial tanker member, and me. Like, we are all dealing with the same type of environments in a way, because really they may look different, but at the end of the day, it is the same issues. You know, we're talking mental health, we're talking sexual assaults and harassment, we're talking bullying, we're talking not getting paid, we're talking not having leadership, and that goes across the border, not just on yachts and not just on commercial vessels. But I do agree with you that every audience is different and every audience has a different language. So I really, I celebrate that you guys understood that, and that you realize, okay, if we really want to serve this community and be at service, we need to start talking to them in their own language, so we can actually reach them. So thank you so much for that, because that's really important. And so you said that you did a survey and that you found certain, you know, you started understanding the community and what their needs were. I kind of want to know a little bit about that. So right now, I know you said that there was limited resources, right? That was one of the things that the survey kind of showed. And I do agree with it for sure. I also agree that there are services and there are help, but for some reason, it's kind of hard to find. And I think it's not just because it's literally like a marketing strategy that is maybe not implemented properly, you know? So it's like you may Google something and they may not come up. But it's also the fact that there's such a taboo and so many topics that people don't want to even actually look up what help is available, you know? Or, you know, they resist looking for the actual help, because if they say I need help, that means, you know, they believe, oh, people are going to look at me like I'm less, or that I'm not potentially okay to be in my job. It's like, no, you can't perform. And yeah, if you don't get help, at some point the perform is going to go down, because you're not getting the help that you actually need. We do have a lot of well, not a lot, but there's some unions out there specifically for yachties. And they're meant to be the one and all to go helpline. They're not for free. And you have to pay an amount, monthly. But it's interesting to see that a lot of crew members that have actually used these unions, helplines, they, after paying and reaching out to them, they don't seem to get the help that they actually were looking for. So it's a little bit, I don't know if that's the correct word, detrimental, to know that there's help, but then at the end of the day, it's like, why bother? Because the help's not gonna actually do anything for me. And I'm spending the money and I'm reaching out, and then all I get is like, basically, you're kind of on your own, figure it out. This is the guideline I can give you. So I just kind of want to know what would you guys bring that would be different from what we have experienced through these unions helplines, you know.
Okay. Well, I suppose first thing to say is that we would definitely always recommend that crew join a union such as Nautilus for employment issues. And I think that, I mean, I'd say that some of the issues in yachting with employment, well, I suppose not knowing where to go for help, some of that is related to the unionization only happening so recently. And I think definitions like seafarer, they become so well known, you know, they're renowned among cruise ship workers see themselves as seafarers. I think that is in part to do with, you know, unionization and making those sorts of definitions more widely applicable. You know, I'm not really sure about all of the unions working in the sphere, but I suppose The other reason for kind of issues of not knowing where to go for help is that it being a relatively new profession, or professionalizing relatively recently, and there being less structure in the way employment happens compared to the other sectors in the maritime industry, where that's a lot more rigid, and we've got a lot more sort of deep traditions, and there are problems in some of that rigidity. But what is different, and we work closely with Nautilus, but the way we complement each other is our helpline is there to provide instant 24-hour emotional support as well as anything else. So I can't really stress the importance of making sure there is someone there to talk to when people really are struggling, and they might be at the beginning of their struggle, or it might be the really last straw, and really the difference between life and death sometimes. So unions aren't set up to do that. There are a lot of unions working within the maritime industry and the other sectors that have started to also provide mental health support and do, but obviously their first priority is to protect employment rights, and so they're very equipped to do that, and they're there with they have lawyers, they have all of those sorts of things. That we're a charity, so we provide mental health support in the best way we can. In the first instance, it will be like emotional support. From our team are trained in providing emotional support, counselling skills, and suicide risk assessment, among other training. But if they think someone needs more serious, intensive, either face-to-face or more professional support, then we'll arrange for that. And unions would probably come to us if they wanted the same for someone that they represented. But largely, if a seafarer, any seafarer actually, or specifically a super yacht crew contacted us to say they haven't been paid, that's not something we can deal with within our own resources. So we would look to a union to help. So we would really hope in that particular example that they would be a union member, and if not, then we would have to look for other ways to try and help them. But we would. It's a shame to hear that there are super yacht crew that feel that they haven't been helped by being union members. So we'd hope that that wouldn't be the case for the majority.
Yeah. So let's say, for an example, and I understand that the bigger mission of the helpline obviously is mental health, right? Because at the end of the day, everything goes back to mental health. Like, if you don't get paid, you're gonna have mental health issues. If but so for example, something like, let's say I'm a yachtie and I'm being verbally abused on board, whether that be sexually or non-sexual, sexism, whatever it is, bullying, and obviously that is affecting my mental health. So I will go to you and I will call you, but there's also like a fine line between mental health and crew rights. So how do you dance between the two? Like, do you have a specific union, which I'm assuming is Nautilus because you keep talking about that union, that you are working in partnership with for those type of situations where it's like, I can give you the emotional support, get you set, now let's talk about how to move forward legally. And then let's say I'm not part of that union, which the case is that a lot of the times people are not part of the union. They only realize there's a union when they have issues. And then they say, well, because you were not part of the union prior to your issue, we're not able to help you, which I think is like a kick in the arse, basically. Because I mean, then you're not helping. You know what I mean? Like, there should be some sort of what do you call it? I don't know, like some sort of entrance, you know what I mean? What that the issue allows you to go into that place, you know, to get the help. And then, I mean, I know you're not part of that, you know, you're not talking in,
Yeah, like, I can't, I know that
but
that's an issue.
you have an opinion as a human being and as a person who's working for the betterment of the seafarers. So I just kind of want to know how would that translate, and how, because like if you tell me, okay, Marianne, this is what I can do for you. Now let's get into the legal stuff. And then this union tells me, sorry, I can't help you. Then I'm like, my mental health is going to get back into the ground, because now I'm like, oh my God, I have nothing, you know, I have nowhere to go. I'm alone.
Yeah.
Back to mental health, you know? So it's almost like a little bit of a cycle, you know? So I just wonder,
Yeah.
where are we meeting, you know, and actually
Yes.
results?
So yeah, I mean, it is horrendously difficult, those sorts of situations. And again, just to say that I think further along the line, you know, in the commercial world, it's easier to deal with those sorts of issues, even if you're not a union member. But regardless, I can't really talk about, you know, unions, their particular policies. They have them in place for whatever reasons, and protect their usual membership. But and I know that they do try and help when they can. But what we would do, we're first of all, we're there to help talk through their options. So every case is so different and so complex. Sometimes, even with a very serious sexual harassment or even sexual assault case, the caller is adamant that they don't want any sort of practical support. So, I mean, that's on a human level can be difficult to deal with when you're in a supporting role because of the injustice there. That what they want is they haven't got anyone to talk to, and they don't feel like they don't want to tell anyone about it, but they know they need to talk about it. So we're there as a confidential ear to help someone talk through that, and sometimes just help them see their issues more clearly. So we'll have a set of potential options for them. One of them might be to explore with the union, whether that union can provide them with support. Sometimes they can. And if they can't, we would urge them to come back to us to talk again about looking at what their options are. And, you know, it might be, you know, there are some instances where it might be the best thing to get like a police investigation, or it might, you know, be a criminal case that needs to be pursued, and that might be with the flag state, or it might just be in the place where it happened, and the national laws of, you know, wherever it happened, you know, depending on whereabouts the yacht is, and assuming that whatever attacks happen there. But all of these different factors really are important to take into consideration and make it difficult to give a kind of one size fits all answer to these sort of questions. But it's such a difficult area, and it's in some ways not that different from other employment issues, in that we need very clear ways forward to be able to help someone practically, and they don't always exist. So it relies on lots of things. But the most important thing, you know, our team makes sure that there is someone there to listen to them, and to, you know, in that particular case, in a sexual assault, sexual harassment, that we've got someone on the other end of a phone to say, I'm sorry that this has happened to you, I believe you, and this wasn't your fault. And to go from there, that if they want practical support, and often they don't, because they're too scared of their employment status, and there's not really anything we can do there. We wouldn't ever push someone to make a decision about their own life that might not be the best one, and we wouldn't ever give advice in that way. But if we can, like I say, whatever options are out there, we'll explore them if they're comfortable to. But it's important for me to point out here as well that we would never pass on information to another organisation without their consent first. So it is frustrating. Sometimes we don't have a clear role in terms of practical support. We're connected to more and more organisations all the time. And in the commercial sector, it's a lot easier because we're well established. But having that someone on the other end of the phone and instant access to support really is so valuable to someone that's just been through a very distressing situation and doesn't have anyone else to talk to.
No, absolutely. I agree. That's the first step. And then everything else, evolves from when you're actually grounded, center, and you're like, okay, I'm back, because a lot of times in the moment, you're just like, you don't know where you're at, what's happening. You're completely disoriented. So yeah, I totally agree that the mental, the support in that, right, in the mental awareness of things and health, it's the number one key into moving forward into the next steps if you wish to go into the route of more legal and rights and all that stuff, which I personally believe should be done, because when we don't do that, we are creating and laying and continue to lay the foundation for others to go through the same thing that we actually went through. Like when does it stop? Well, it stops with one person saying enough is enough. And this is where it stops with me, because I will not allow other men, other women, other seafarers go through the same situation that I went through. So that it is a courageous thing to do, because it takes a lot of open heart and to say enough is enough. And there's many things you can do. A lot of people think, oh, now I have to go to court. Not really, not necessarily. There's so many different steps you can take to legally, start putting a stop into those certain things, right? We go to extremes, right? And sometimes it's not about extremes, it's about a real balance between what can I do that doesn't have to go that extreme to actually create potential change that's going to help other seafarers that may be the next victim, So I love that you guys are reaching my community, my tribe, because we really, really need it. And not to say that there's not amazing people, amazing tools out there. There is, but the more the better. And I think you guys bring a lot of knowledge and experience that simply other people don't, because they haven't been in your position. And the true reality of yachts is that they're getting bigger and bigger and bigger. It's a commercial boat, period. So a lot of things that you are dealing through other, commercial vessels that were not so much maybe like relatable in a sense of like, oh, it's different in yachts. It's like, actually it's not so different, because now it's getting bigger and bigger, more crew, more things, more regulations are implemented in the same way that, different commercial vessels have. So, now we're starting to really intertwine what was so foreign before to Super Yacht Crew to what it is now, because now it's like bigger and bigger and bigger. So with that, more crew, more issues. So how can we get in touch with you guys? What can we do? Is there an email list we can get on? How can we spread the word? What do you guys need us to get on this?
If you go to yachtcrewhelp.org, you can sign up there to our specific mailing list, and we'll let you know when we have a launch date, and after that when it's live as well. I need to check that we've had to change the donate link, but there should be a donation link there as well for anyone that wants to donate to it. We're really lucky to have the supporters that have been able to make it possible to set up the website and then also to promote it. But after that, we know we're always going to be concerned with making sure it's sustainable. So we'll be doing some more fundraising drives for that as well.
So this is a free service.
Yes, completely free. It's so all of the resources on the website will be, and like I say in the beginning, it will be more limited, but we hope to add to it as time goes on. But all of the downloadable resources are free. I mean, the helpline is free.
I wouldn't call it limited. I would call them essentials.
The essentials. Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
Understanding the true needs specific needs, and then tailoring to those, because they will change as well. You know, like they have changed before these got started, and they will continue to change for sure. Because we're hoping that the industry doesn't change anymore. It actually transforms from the inside out, because that's what it really needs. It needs a transformation. We can't continue with the same foundation that created the problem, because it's never going to change, right? To get fixed. So there you guys have it. Go to Yacht Help, right? So
Yacht Crew Help.
Yachtcrewhelp.org. Get on the email list. That way you are in touch with them. They'll let you know what's going on with them. I'm sure they'll probably even send emails with amazing tips and all that stuff. And they are open on the Seafarers Helpline. So please do reach out to them if you need to. And if you are a head of department, put all this information on the crew board, please, because it may not be something that people know about, and you may not have to potentially have to tell each crew member, hey, this is the help available. But if you put it on the board notice, everybody's gonna know, okay, that's there. And if I feel that I need the help, I will take the action to get it. But at least I have the guidance of where to actually get it. So I think it is our responsibility as head of departments to make sure that people know you're not alone. And even if you don't feel comfortable talking to the crew or your head of department or your captain, these people you can talk to. This is what they're here for. So please do us a favor and put the website, emails, numbers. Like I said, yachtcrewhelp.org is the website that's launching. And right now, the ones that they can actually reach out was the Seafarers Helpline. Is it Seafarers Help?
Yes, Seafarer Help, seafarerhelp.org, which is open and available for anyone that needs it right now. We've put that website on yachtcrewhelp.org, so you can go there, sign up, and if you need immediate help, then you can click the link to Seafarer Help at the moment.
And as you know, we have talked a little bit about the unions and how they could potentially also help in conjunction with the Seafarers Helpline. So if you're not part of the union and you are a permanent crew member, I would invite you to look into different unions that are available, and whatever resonates with you, go for it. It's better safe than sorry. I know that it's sad to hear that some people feel that they haven't been helped, but I know many that actually have been helped. So you gotta cover all the bases at the end of the day. So so yeah, well, thank you, Caitlin. It was such a pleasure to have you and to bring this message to everybody, so they know there is help, there's more to come, and together we rise. Like we have to do it together. We can't do it on our own. So we're on behalf of the community, thank you so much. Really appreciate it.
Thank you too. Thank you.
All right, guys, that's it. Until next time, remember, Uncensored is about sharing wisdom, passing on experiences that you have that could potentially help others. So if you have something to say, something that you want to share, or a story, just down below, email me so you can get on board and record. And everything that we have talked about is under the video. All the links are here, so just get on it. Don't waste any time. Become part of the Yacht Seafarers Helpline. Thank you.